Hello everyone, I have been playing my bard with Ark Passive enabled for a week now, and I wanted to share my early findings to maybe help other people who are starting to enable it. Let's look at everything that changes when you enable Ark Passive. Your combat stats can change, your relic sets and your engravings too. The rest stays the same. You also get some extra stat sticks. Your combat stats can reach approximately the same caps as they could in Tier 3, however you have a lot more granularity with your stat distribution. This lets you fine-tune your build to what's the most comfortable. Meanwhile in Tier 3 you were stuck with sometimes awkward stats. Just like before, you can lower swiftness to improve the power of your identity damage buffs, but you have more tools on top of that to maintain good uptime when you lower your swiftness, enabling you to go quite a bit lower than before. In my opinion, it is achievable to get 100% AP and brand in raids with level 7 gems if you have between 900 and 1100 specialization. If you have better gems, you could even consider going higher, though I can't really afford those to try. The Yearning Relic set is replaced by the Combat Blessing and Dance of Passion evolution nodes, which are much more convenient. Their effects also apply to yourself unlike Yearnings, which means you reach the attack speed cap much more easily. Dance of Passion is virtually always up without any thinking required, and you don't need to be close to your party members anymore, which is useful during mechanics mainly. Once you get 4 and 5 Aegir Ancient Armor pieces, I think you should play MP Furnace on the last row of the evolution tree, as it gives an unconditional 20% brand power effect. Standing Striker cannot have perfect uptime on the full 20% brand power effect, and Stable Manager reduces your identity meter gain. You might be worried about the extra mana requirements of MP Furnace, but it is a non-issue on Bard because it turns out to be approximately 1.3% more mana consumption overall, which can be offset by 1.3% more max MP or resource regeneration. It will never be the difference between you going out of mana and not running out. The engraving system sees the most changes. You get 5 combat engraving slots, while the space that was taken by your class engraving is freed and revamped into the Enlightenment tree. Spirit absorption isn't useful anymore, so between that and the class engraving slot being freed, you have much less engraving pressure than before. You can freely pick and choose 5 between Magic Stream, Awakening, Expert, Max MP Increase, Drops of Ether, Heavy Armor, Vital Point Hit, Explosive Expert. I advise you keep Max MP and Magic Stream, but the rest is fully swappable. The order I suggest to buy Relic books is Magic Stream, Drops of Ether, Explosive Expert, and then you can mostly ignore the other engravings. I have seen the Awakening Relic book sell at high prices. You should know that this book does virtually nothing, as there is no content in the game where you can run out of Awakenings on an Ark Passive Bard. I often see people say you need an Awakening, Drops of Ether Rock on all supports. For Bard in particular, cooldown reduction on your Awakening skill is much less valuable because you do not press the skill off cooldown. You can settle for any rock with Drops of Ether, and another useful node to get instead is Magic Stream, as it gives a sizable amount of extra mana, which is welcome. I often drop the Expert engraving if I need to run something else, as we are overgeared for most current content and the extra efficiency on shields and heals isn't very useful. Explosive Expert lets you take up to 8 dark grenades, which is very powerful in raids where you are tight on DPS. In homework, it's not very useful. The Relic books are very cheap, so I would suggest buying them as a good option. Your class engraving is replaced by the Enlightenment tree. You get immunity to status ailments when casting your Serenades, which I haven't really made use of, but can save you once in a while. It used to be that other classes would keep their meter if they get stunned while casting an identity skill, but for some reason supports would lose their gauge. Now it's over. Chorus Serenade lets you play with 4 bubbles of meter, meaning you can fill more than 3 bubbles without wasting any meter. This node is very powerful. In Tier 3 you have to cast mainly 2 bar buffs because you don't want to waste meter. The 4th bubble lets you play around 3 bar buffs much more, giving more damage to your team. 3 bar buffs give more additional damage, for longer, making them twice as efficient as 2 bar buffs if your party takes advantage of the whole 16-second duration. I now only cast 2 bar buffs if faced with a good pattern, and otherwise fill my meter beyond 3 bars and think about when is the best time to cast my buff. If you look at your DPS meter logs, you will see that the uptime of those 3 bar buffs is lower. However, if you do some math, you will realize that these buffs provided more damage than spamming 2 bar buffs would have provided if you generated the same amount of meter. This strategy is high risk, high reward, of course. Serenade of Stigma is a side node which I think is very underestimated by fellow bards. The brand from this node has extremely long range, probably more than you think. It can almost never be interrupted, unlike all the other alternatives, because it has both push immunity and a buff immunity, and it has no opportunity cost. Sound Shock had range and speed, but no super armor and the opportunity cost of taking another better meter generator. Stigma had super armor, but was too slow to be reliable 100% of the time. The brand from this node solves all issues with Sonatiner, which makes the skill significantly better. At level 1, the brand lasts 6 seconds, which lets you cast main buffs and comfortably place harp. If you get more Enlightenment points, you should keep leveling it, as each level makes it more powerful, giving you time to cast more meter generation skills before harp. All of this isn't only useful during the first opener of a fight, it's useful every time a raid mechanic ends and you switch from doing mechanics to fighting the boss. Your other side node gives more max MP. It is nice, but in my opinion leveling the Serenade of Stigma node is much more valuable right now. On the leap tree, I have a lot of leftover points that can go more or less anywhere. I only worry about maxing the cooldown reduction and mana cost reduction on Arya. Let's talk about the stat sticks. Gems and accessories. Gems are already available before enabling Ark Passive, so there is nothing new. The damage gem upgrade priority is still Heavenly Tune, Serenade of Courage, Sonic Vibration. And if you want to lower your swiftness stat, you need to offset it by upgrading all your cooldown gems. I recommend keeping your gems with similar levels, though you can prioritize Heavenly Tune and Rhapsody of Light. Before you buy level 10 damage gems, you should know that they will only need your party a maximum of 0.6% extra DPS compared to level 7 damage gems. I would advise working on your cooldown gems first, as you will get more mileage by increasing your specialization for the same amount of gold. For accessories, the necklace and rings give the most damage, with earrings slightly behind. I recommend getting at least 8% brand power on the necklace and 5% attack power enhancement rings if you are buying accessories for a support. I do not recommend trying to get meter generation lines on the necklace, as they make the piece much more expensive despite not changing your power very significantly. Here is a chart of the relative power of each accessory combination. That's all for today. I will keep trying new things and share if I find anything important. Goodbye.